Hi guys, good morning. Good morning everyone. Today we are going to start and discuss concepts on axial deformations in a material. Okay? So as we know, when the members are subjected to axial loads, so they will have an axial deformations, isn't it? So these axial deformations are in different types. Okay? So one is based on the elongation of bodies, one is elongation due to the self weights. Okay, for the different modes of materials, I mean the materials which are in a different forms, right? So that is how the axial deformations are going to be discussed now. So before discussing axial deformation straight way, so let me first start with the stiffness. What do you mean stiffness? How you define stiffness? How you define stiffness? Stiffness is nothing but resistance of a material against the external deformation, right? So and it is represented in a form of K. So how you define strength? An ability to resist deformation is called strength. So when material will have a strength, when a material is having a stiffness, so that stiffness we are going to relate with the strength. Okay, so let us take an example. So where the stiffness is indicated with the symbol K. Okay, so let me take one example of a beam, right? So where it is subjected to an axial force P. Here, if I want to control the deformation in this member, so let us take the length of member as L. So if I want to control the deformation in this axial member, so what this member should have? This member should have a resistance towards the load. By that it can able to resist its external deformation, and that is going to be represented in a form of a K. So here at some cross section the material will show its resistance towards the load. Okay, so that resistance towards the deformation I can call it as a load per displacement. Okay, can be represented in a form of K. So where stiffness is defined as load per unit displacement or load per unit deformation. Okay, that is how the stiffness is going to be defined. So where if you want to calculate the displacement of this body due to the axial load, so by that displacement can be calculated based on the load towards the stiffness of this member, right? So here let us take this as a spring. So usually springs will have a stiffness, right? So when it is subjected to an axial tension or an axial compression, right? So here the stiffness is indicated with a unit Newton per mm. So where K is equal to Newton per mm. Okay, so load per unit displacement, right? So in the same way, let me take an object which is having a cross sectional area, have a predefined material. Let me take a body like this. So where it is subjected to load P. Okay, so what happens due to the load? Member will deform, right? Due to the external tensile load, member will deform like this, and this additional deformation is represented as changing length delta L. Okay, and this is the original length L. How to calculate this additional elongation? So based on the relation and based on the equation which we know is Hooke's law, where your stress is directly proportional to strain, isn't it? So Hooke's law with some constant, Young's modulus, stress is directly proportional to strain. What is stress? Load by area. And what is strain? Change in length to original length. So that's how Young's modulus can be written as P by A by delta L by L. From this, how can I calculate the changing length of this bar based on the external load? This changing length can be calculated as PL by AE. Clear? Right? So this is how we are going to calculate the changing length of a body when it is subjected to an axial loads like this. Okay? Clear? Right. So now let me talk about flexibility. What do you mean flexibility? Flexibility is nothing but displacement per unit load. Clear? So flexibility is nothing but displacement per unit load. So which is reversal of stiffness. Flexibility is defined as reversal of stiffness. Okay? So flexibility is nothing but 1 by K. Right? So 1 by K is nothing but what? F is equal to by load. Displacement per unit load is called flexibility. Okay? There are a lot of limitations there for the axial deformations. Okay, there are a lot of limitations because we can't just define these like stiffness displacement is equal to load by stiffness based on the axial deformation. Here, both are subjected to axial deformations. There are some limitations there to define the displacement of a body when it is subjected to an axial load. Okay, so what are the limitations? So the limitations are clearly defined like this, where the member should be homogeneous, isotropic, and prismatic bars are only supposed to be used. What do you mean prismatic bar? Prismatic bar in the sense member should have a same cross section throughout its length. Okay, so that is very, very important. So what are the limitations of these axial deformations? Let me write the limitations here. Member should be homogeneous. Member should be isotropic. I think in the previous class I told you clearly what do you mean homogeneous and isotropic. What do you mean homogeneous? Member is having same mechanical properties throughout its length. What is isotropic? A member which is having an identical elastic constants at every section of the member. Okay, so that is how the isotropic and homogeneous are defined. And what is the other limitation? Member should be prismatic bars are going to be used. What do you mean prismatic bar? Prismatic bar in the sense member should have a same cross section throughout its length. So that is what the prismatic bar. And what are the other limitations? Loading must be uniaxial and constant. So load should not change. Let us take this load of 100 kilonewton. Till it fail, the load should be the same 100 kilonewton. Load should not change. Load should be constant. Okay. So loading must be uniaxial. Okay. So this is uniaxial loading. Biaxial loading means so member will be subjected to load in both the directions. Okay, in other direction also. So but as per the axial deformation concern, load must be uniaxial and constant. Okay. And the next one, loading must be within proportionality limit. What do you mean within proportionality limit? So as the member is subjected to load, member will have a deformation. When you release the load, member should regain its original shape and size. So that is what the limit, proportionality limit. Till proportionality limit, your stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay. So by that, for the axial deformations, your member should satisfy even this, where loading must be within proportionality limit. What do you mean proportionality limit? So till the proportionality limit, your member stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay. So these are the limitations which are made to derive the formulas for an axial deformations. Clear? Right? And now let me explain you what are the deformations, axial deformations for different types of bars. Okay, so let me show you with some pictures and let me write down the formulas straight away here. Okay, right. First, elongation of bars. Okay, in that first we will talk about due to external load. Due to external load. Due to external load, what will be the changing length? What is the deformation formula? Till now, just now we derived it as PL by AE, right? So this is for what? This is for prismatic section. Prismatic section in the sense uniform cross section. Clear? Right. So next, when the same bar which is a varying cross section. What do you mean varying cross section? Bar which is having a varying cross section. Varying cross section, so which is called as a composite section. Composite beams, I can call it as. So then how you calculate the changing length? So let me draw the picture like this. So member will have a different length. Members will have a different cross-sectional areas. Members may have a different Young's modulus, but which is subjected to an axial load. Okay. So then for this, what will be the changing length? Changing length will be the overall changing length, which is delta L1 plus delta L2 plus delta L3. Because what is the overall changing length? Overall changing length is nothing but summation of the changing length of the first bar plus second bar plus third bar, right? So what is changing length of the first bar? In all the bars, load is common. Load is only P. Why? Because load is acting axially. P of L by A1 E1 plus L2 by A2 E2 plus L3 by A3 E3. This is how you are going to calculate the changing length of a bar which is varying cross section. Your cross sections are varying in its length, right? And the next one is tapered body. What do you mean tapered body? As prismatic section is nothing but where the member is having the same cross section throughout its length, isn't it? Tapered body is nothing but members are having a different, at every point the section will vary. So let me draw the diagrams how they look. So based on that we can able to calculate. So where the tapered sections are classified into two, one is a cylindrical section and the other one is rectangular section. Okay, how the cylindrical section looks like? This, and which is tapered like this. How the rectangular section? So there is a rectangular section. Right? Okay, so when they are subjected to an axial load P, how to calculate the changing length of these members? Changing length of the cylindrical section, tapered section, which is 4PL by pi E this. So what about So this is called capital D and this is called small d, and this is the length. Okay, so this is how you can able to calculate the changing length of this member. And what about this? Delta L is equal to PL by E T of A minus B log E of A by B. Okay, so this is how you can able to calculate the changing length of body like this. So what is AB? AB is nothing but dimension of the sections. So length is this, thickness is this, and this is A and this is B. Okay, this thickness won't vary, thickness will be same, only the depth varies, like from A to B. Clear? So by that the changing length of this rectangular section is going to be calculated in this form. Clear? Right. So now let me show you another one, which is a composite bar which is having the same length. Okay, so then what will be the changing length of that member? Composite bar, how it looks like? Let me take two bars of having a different materials. Right? So where they are subjected to equal pull and the length of the members are same and the load is also same. Okay, and there is a change in its area, change in its Young's modulus. Right? Then how to calculate the changing length of this member? Changing length of this member is like PL by AE. Okay, so where load is common, length is common, there is only varying in its area and Young's modulus, so which can be written like this. So finally your sigma 1 by E1 is equal to sigma 2 by E2. The changing length can be calculated with this formula for a composite bar. Right? So let me talk about for due to self weight. So till now we have calculated the changing length of the member based on the external load. So now it is due to the self weight. So due to self weight, what will be the changing length of the member? Let me take a body due to its weight, so which is a self weight. Okay, so due to self weight, the deformation will be written as small w L square by 2e, or it can also be written as capital W L by 2e. You have to remember the both formulas because your examination, your options will be in different pattern. Okay, so this is for a rectangular section. Okay, so let me light here. So this is for a rectangular section. So what happens for a cylindrical rod and what happens for the conical rod? Okay, if the rod is like this, so let me take which is in a form of a cylindrical section. Here it is in a form of a conical section. Right? So for this your changing length is PL square by 2e, and for the conical section it is based on the density gamma L square by 6e. Okay, you have to remember all these formulas to do few problems on this in your external examinations, in your competitive exams. Okay, so this is how the elongation of a bars due to the axial load. In everywhere load is axial, see, okay, so load is axial, right? So this is the axial deformations of a bars which are having the same cross sections, varying cross sections, like for the compound sections, even due to the self weight of the sections. Okay, so now in the next one, let me discuss with the bars which are having a temperature stresses. Okay, so just now I got a call from admin Amma, so let me go and come back. Okay, then we will discuss about the changing length of a bar when it is subjected to temperature stresses. Okay, after that we are going to discuss on bars which are having a different materials. Okay, so which are having a different materials along with the temperature stresses. Clear? So two topics are there to calculate the deformations of a bars due to an axial load. One is due to thermal stresses of a similar body and thermal stresses of a compound bodies. Okay, so these two are there to discuss. Then we can discuss lot of concepts like hoop stress or circumferential stresses. Okay, what are the volumetric strains and all. Okay, so based on that we can able to complete the stresses, simple stresses concepts. Okay, simple stresses and strains concepts. Okay, so let me go and come back. Okay, then we can discuss the thermal stress and strains. Okay, right.